Hey home dogs, today I want to show you a quick and easy way that you can get some yoga in, or stretching, if you prefer to call it stretching, while you are reading a book. Yes, while you're reading a physical book. Not listening to an audiobook, reading a physical book. But don't worry, this is going to be real easy. We're going to keep everything really low to the ground, as one may say. And we're just going to do some light reading while we do some stretching. So let's get started. So to get started, before we even pick up our book, I want to loosen out your feet a little bit. Sometimes my feet get very tight. I do a lot of dance and stuff, and feet get very tight. So it's important to loosen up your feet as part of your stretching routine. So we're going to go on ahead and sit if you can. If there's anything in this video that you are not comfortable in your body doing today, totally fine. You can skip it or do a different stretch if you prefer. There's also ways to modify certain things that I'll show you, but right now I want you to, on your knees, kind of get your feet flexed underneath you. And we're just going to sit back on your heels as much as you can. If you can't go very far, that's totally cool too. And we're just going to kind of stretch. You can stretch your back a little bit while you're here. Stretch your back forward and back. Back, forward, and back. And we're just going to get things nice and loose. Just get ready. Stretch before we stretch, right? While you're here, you can also flip your feet over. Do a little bit of a child's pose if you'd like. You can stretch your arms. I have my stuff right here in my way, but you can stretch your arms out. Do whatever you need. Just get your body nice and loose and ready to go. So today we're going to be doing what is kind of called a bit of a yin style of yoga, which if you're not familiar, it's just a way of doing these nice long juicy kind of stretches that are normally pretty low to the ground anyway. And so that makes it really easy to hold a book while you do your stretches, because it's a lot of hands-free stuff. So right now I'm just stretching my ankles out a little bit, leaning back on them just a little bit. Don't go too far if it hurts too much. Alright, now we're going to pick up our books and get ready to start reading. So while we do these stretches today, I'm going to cue you on about when to find a good place to stop so you don't lose your page when we're transitioning from stretch to stretch, from pose to pose, that sort of thing. So we're going to start out in what I like to call butterfly pose. I think in yoga I've sometimes heard it called cobbler's pose, but it's essentially you're going to bring the soles of your feet together, legs at a bit of a V. You can either bring your legs in really close to you if you like that, or you can keep them farther out. Not that one way is easier or one way is harder, it's just stretching a different part of your leg. If you bring it in closer, it's going to stretch the inside of your leg. A little farther out, it's going to do the outside of your leg. So however you want to stretch today, I'm going to go ahead and go a little bit in between. We'll be different. And then we're going to pick up our books and start reading. If at any point it's too much, if the stretch is too much, you can just come out of it, come to a cross-legged position. You can come back to that child's pose. Child's pose is a really good one to do. Just any position that is comfortable for you if it gets to be too much. And we're going to start reading now. You can start to find a good place to stop. Start to find a good place to stop. Stretch out your legs for a minute. Pop, pop. You've got cracky bones like I do. I feel like we all do, though, at some point. I like to hold that one for kind of a long time because I think it's a little bit of an easier stretch than some of the other ones. Alright, now that you've probably found a spot to stop, rhyming game over here, we're going to go ahead and do what I like to call an inverted butterfly, which instead of having your legs this way, you're going to have them the opposite way. I think this is also sometimes called a bit of a deer pose in yoga, but I think that's kind of when you just have one leg and not both of them. So it can be a little bit difficult to get both at the same time down. So just maneuver around until you can get, and if your legs are up like this, that's totally fine too. This is an easy alternative to do if you can't get all the way down. Don't strain your muscles, right? That's not relaxing. We're here to relax and read, right? So just try to find a nice, comfy as can be position. And we're going to read a few more pages in this pose. Start to find a good place to stop. Okay. That one can be a lot on the hips. So just stretch your legs out again a little bit. Maybe do the windshield wiper. Back and forth for a minute. Now for our next pose, we're going to do what is called pigeon pose. I used to do cheerleading when I was in school, and we would actually call this split stretch. And we would do this pose, well, not as a pose. We didn't know it was a yoga pose, but we did this stretch all the time when we were doing our homework and we were waiting for practice to start, that sort of thing. So this is one of my favorites, to be honest. So to do this, you're essentially going to be in this shape, but you can either have this foot, it doesn't matter whether you do the right foot or the left foot first. Either bring it in close to you, if you don't want it to be too awful sore later. You can either do it in quite close, and essentially this is kind of like a half split. But you can always bring this leg up a little bit if that's too much. You can bend your back knee if you need to. This is how most people would probably do this, but if you're a little bit more, you can start to move this foot a little bit more, kind of like a clock. Move the minute hand. And then you can kind of situate yourself and rock onto that hip. The maximum you really want to have it at is a 90-degree angle. You don't really want to go any farther than that, because then that would be a full split. And that's not super comfortable to do while reading, although go for it if you can. So I'm going to go about this today. You can go ahead and pick your book back up and keep on reading. And I will let you know when it's time to change. You can start to find a good place to stop. You go ahead and you can stretch your back out a little bit. Bring that back knee in a bit. We're going to repeat that the same way on the other side now. Keep things even. So go ahead, you can face the same way or the other way. I'm gonna face this way because I already got my thing. And I also have a yoga block for some other poses that we're doing. You can also, if you don't have a yoga block, you can also use a pillow. I do that all the time. You can also put your book on top of it if you want to make it even more hands-free, but then you would need like a clip or something for your pages. That would be very nifty. I do not have one of those. Let me know if you do that. That would be actually a really good idea. Wow, I'm a genius. No, just kidding. Go ahead and stretch your feet out. And we're just gonna flip over legs, switch legs, and do that on the other side. You might be able to get your foot a little bit either closer or farther away, it just depends. Each leg will be a little bit different. And you can get started reading. I'll stop talking now. You can start to find a good place to stop. Go ahead and stretch your back out again. Okay, we just have one and a half more poses that we're gonna do here before we go and we do some things on our backs, laying down. Let's get excited. First thing we're going to do, well, it's the same thing again, just two different sides, two different legs. You're going to go ahead and put one leg down, doesn't matter which one to start. And then take the other one and you're going to put it on top. Now, there's two different ways to do this. You can either do this like this, heel touching knee, heel touching knee, or if you'd like a little bit more stretch, you can go all the way, knee on top of knee. I'm gonna do knee on top, knee on top of knee today. We won't hold this one for as long, but this is just to get kind of the hips loosened out a little bit. You can just kind of move your back side to side, and then you can start reading again. You go ahead and find a good place to stop. Before we go to the other side, just really quickly kind of pop your back out a little bit. And the leg that you have on top right now, you can reach their other arm, I don't know, opposite, right? This is my left leg and my right arm, so you're, whichever one you have up, and just kind of stretch over to the side just for a minute. Not even a full minute, just a few seconds. And now go ahead and switch your legs around. Again, you can either do kind of like this or all the way across. I've heard this called knee pile pose, I think. There's different names for all different types of stretches. I'm just put your legs in a position and go with it. You can go ahead and get started reading on this side. Go ahead and find a good place to stop. And again, before we go and lay on our backs, you just crack your back out if it'll crack for you. Mine's not cracking today. And opposite leg. This leg, this arm, this foot, this arm goes up and over. Just for a few seconds. Okay, twist a bit. Okay. And now we're gonna get ready and get on our backs. So, laying down. This is where it's really nice to have a pillow. I always say that wrong. Pillow? Is it pillow or pillow? I say pillow. I don't know. Hillbilly slang. Okay. Or a yoga block is what I use. You can put it under your head just to cushion if you want that extra cushioning. Especially when we're reading, it's really nice to have it like that. Get yourself in a nice position. And now we're going to do kind of the same things we did sitting, but now we're going to do it laying on our back. Yay. And the first thing we're going to start off with is reclined butterfly or reclined cobbler's pose, which is the same thing we did on the floor, just keeping the knees out. You can either bring your legs or your feet a little bit more forward, a little bit more in. I'm going to go a little bit more in this time. And if you have your head propped up, that makes it a little bit easier to read. And you can get started reading. Go ahead and find a good place to stop. Now we're going to go ahead and do the same thing that we did on the floor earlier. Going to turn the knees the other way, and you can either keep them up nice and high like this. That can be pretty nice, and that can be easier on the back. Or you can kind of slowly bring them all the way down, flat to the floor, or at least pretty close. And you can start reading again. Go ahead and find a good place to stop. On this one, you might have to come out really slow, kind of help your legs out of it. Just shake the back out a little bit. Now we're going to go ahead and do what is called reclined pigeon pose, which is the same thing as the pigeon pose we did on the ground, but now we're on our backs. So you're going to start by wiping the dirt off your feet. You're going to start by taking one foot and crossing it over the other. Kind of push it a little bit. You can pop your hip a little bit. That always feels good. And you can either stay here, that's perfectly fine, or you can start to bring it in by lifting this foot up a little bit. And what I'm going to do is just stay kind of in this position so I can read with my book here. Some people also like to extend this leg all the way up, wipe the dirt off your feet. That's a little bit difficult for reading, I think, so I'm just going to leave it like this. But again, you can just stay down here if that's too much. Go ahead and find a good place to stop. Now uncross the legs, you can wiggle them out and do the same thing we did on the ground, kind of windshield wiper them out. And then we're just going to do the same thing, but putting the other foot, the other side. Push it out a little bit. Crack, snapple. Crack, snapple, pop. Isn't that how it goes? I haven't had that stuff in a long time. Oh, Rice Krispies, you know. And you can either stay here or bring it in again. Find a place to stop. Now we're going to go ahead and get the back a little bit. We've done a lot of stuff with the legs, which is what I like to do, but we're going to do a little bit with the back too. So just wiggle the hips side to side for a second. And then, when you're ready, we're going ahead and move the hips a little bit to one side, if you can. And then put the knees down on the other side. So we're kind of getting this like twist in the spine. It should feel really good. It feels good for me today. go ahead and start finding a place to stop. Now wiggle the hips out again. I'm just going ahead and do the same thing to the other side. Move the hips over a little, and then the knees, and just relax. Start to feel a little sleepy. Find a good place to stop. You can move the hips one more time. Now to finish it all off, we're going to do, the sun's in my face, and I'm getting a little sleepy, not gonna lie. Just lay down completely, just stretch your legs out, stretch your arms up overhead if you want. And we're just going to stay in this pose. You can stay here and read for as long as you'd like. If you'd like to pause the video and go a little bit longer, you can. But just to relax and just let your body rest for a few minutes. Thanks everyone, home dogs, fellow readers, for reading with me today. I hope you feel really nice and relaxed and stretched out, and that you got some good reading in. I think my page total, I just started this book while we were reading this, and I'm up to page 49, so that's a good day. And I'm reading this book called How to Talk to a Widower with this great cover art that looks like it was taken from an Ashley Madison ad in 2009, but just saying. My brother-in-law gave me this book and he said I would like it. It is kind of funny, but it's also like funny sad so far. I don't know. I'm only on page 49. So what did you read today? Go on ahead and leave me a comment. Let me know, what did you read today? Did you enjoy this? Would you like to do this again? Maybe? Read along with me. Hopefully I didn't talk too much and get annoying and distract you and distract your thoughts. But I hope you really enjoyed today, and I hope, let me know if you did. Later, home dogs.